It's music time in Africa.
Hey everybody, it's March 29th, Saturday night here at Listener Auditorium in Washington, D.C. And guess who is about to come on stage? Johnny Clegg! So we're here now in the dressing room waiting for him to come back here just for a minute so we can interview him before he goes on stage. Johnny, you were the first South African ever to sing about Nelson Mandela. And when your song Asibonanga came out, it really became a Pan-African anthem for everybody. So how do you feel now that Nelson Mandela has left us?
Well, you know, when he fell ill the last time, we waited and waited and waited, and I think it was a period, nearly 3 months. It kind of softened the blow because it wasn't a sudden thing we had to deal with. We had a lot of time to deal with it, and there were many support shows and discussion groups and things that happened already talking about his legacy and stuff like that. So it was an inevitable thing. We were prepared for it. Everybody has to leave the stage at some point, and he did it graciously, and I think South Africa did it graciously.
So looking back on your career as a South African, a white South African artist, how would you describe the changes in the social and racial climate?
Sure, look, I grew up in the apartheid state. I grew up when it was a full-blown racial and cultural segregation, which is not just for races, but cultural segregation was also the theme of the day. There was no free radio in South Africa. It was all owned by the government. So there was no independent radio. So yet the censorship board operated politically, religiously, sexually, and culturally. There were 4 levels of censorship. So if you wrote a song and released it as a record, you had to supply the lyrics with the song submitted to the programmer. The programmer would then send it to the censorship board. The censorship board would then go through, is there any political content? If so, is it acceptable? Is there any sexually explicit content? If so, is it acceptable? Is there any religious content, and will it upset anybody? And then finally, is it culturally in the purview of the race that that person comes from? So we were mixing language on the same song, which was illegal. There were 11 separate black stations locked into their own languages, which was part of the divide and rule policy of apartheid, so that there was no conversation. Everybody was just channeled down in their own culture. Well, first channeled down their race, then channeled down their culture. So that was a tough time. I was arrested when I was 15 years old in a migrant labor hostel. I never quite understood the laws at that time. They just said, yeah, you're trespassing on a government property. This hostel is owned by the government and no whites are allowed in here. But you're too young to charge, so we're going to take you back to your parents and we're going to give them a lecture. So my mother opened the door and there was these 2 big white policemen, and they started haranguing her about me and saying that, you know, the place he goes to, it's like very dangerous. These are Zulus, and there's tribal feuds and clan warfare. There's drugs and prostitution, and you know, the hostels are the worst possible place you could ever find anybody. What is your 15-year-old son doing in there? And my mother was shocked, and she said, thank you very much. She closed the door. She said, what the hell are you doing there? I said, I was dancing. I was doing Zulu dancing, because that's where the dancing takes place. So I had to bring the dance leader to my flat with his second in command. And they explained to her, look, you know, your son is looked after by us. You know, there's 60 strong Zulus, all, you know, in our team. And she says, but how do you get him inside? Because they've got police guarding outside. He says, well, we come out as a group and we sing and we chant and we go outside the hostel, and then we pick him up and we put him in the middle, and then we chant our way back inside, and nobody knows that he's with us.
And your mother was okay with that?
Yeah, my mom was a jazz singer. She was a cabaret singer. She was she was probably in her day pretty wild young thing as well.
prison lake, and I'm trying to find a way out. Seems no escape. When I feel hidden power, lies inside yourself. The ghost inside the edge, spinning round and round. Imagine some words, something you can't explain. Just up the feeling of the sun inside the rain. When the wind is blowing like a lonesome train, I reach out and touch you. I call your name. When the night is lonesome and I fear the coming day, I reach out and touch you. I call your name. I call your name. I call your name. I call your name.
What's happened is, whereas you had a very, very hierarchized power, wealth, access to scarce resources, today it's flattened out. There's still a lot of poverty, there's still a lot of insecurity, and a lot of crime, but all of those things are shared out amongst the population, generally speaking. Essentially, the key in South Africa, more than any other African state that I know, is that the media are totally, completely free. There's a very, very strong media, radio, TV, paper, blogging, and the tradition of public protest is very, very strong. There's lots of people let the government know if there's a problem or there's bad service delivery. There's a protest. I had a conversation with my son who's 19, and I said, have you registered to vote? Because there's going to be a vote. And he said, no, why should I register? So I said, well, you can't vote unless you register. So he said, oh, okay, I'll get to it. I said, okay, fine. So he missed the first registration date, and I said, did you go register? And he said, no, I forgot, I'm sorry. I said, we're going now, get in the car. And as we drove there, I said to him, you know, we are driving to a place where people fought and died for you and me to go write our names on a piece of paper. My colleague and mentor in anthropology, Dr. David Webster, was assassinated by the security police because he was fighting for a democratic South Africa, for everybody's right to vote. So this is something which is incredibly important. So we have a youth day, which is the 16th of June, and on that day, young people have the full platform of radio, they have interviews, the whole day long, it's just young people talking about what they see the day as, what it means for them. And they will say, you know, we know that this is about what happened in the past, but we're young and we want to know what's coming in the future. We want to look forward, we don't want to look back.
Johnny, I know your music has always been socially engaged. Are there other artists doing the same now in your country?
There is a very strange atmosphere because young black artists feel guilty if they start attacking the government, which gave them freedom. There is a kind of an emotional blackmail element, and so we're seeing now in the written word very strong criticisms coming out from writing and blogging, etc., but not in music yet.
What about in rap and hip-hop?
No. There is a sense that in order for them to enjoy the freedoms that they've had, it's not time yet to criticize the government.
Interesting.
And the wind is blowing like a lonesome train. Reach out and touch you. I call your name. When the night is lonesome and I fear the coming day, reach out and touch you. I call your name. I call your name. I call your name. I call your name.
about your band right now? Are you with your original members still?
Two of them.
Who are they?
Mandisa, he's been with me 26 years, and Andy, the guitarist, he's been with me 22 years. So there's three of us from the original six, and then my drummer's Barry Van Sale, he's been with me for 15 years. The keyboard player and saxophonist 12, and my bass player has been with me now about 5-6 years.
So what is it like being on tour with your son, Jesse?
I love it. I mean, it's our first time. He's quite reluctant to play with me because he grew up in my shadow, and he did something which I was doing. So his music is very different, and he doesn't want people to expect that he's going to be doing world music. So although he has the Clegg name, he's doing his own thing. He's found his own voice. He's a brilliant little songwriter, and this was just an opportunity for me to give him an opening in America, to open for me and tour and get off and let him do his own thing. But as for playing together, he says, Dad, we'll play together when you hang up your boots.
How it used to be before we lost ourselves.
I have to ask you, how did the whole business of the White Zulu come to pass?
It was a kind of a joke. The people of Soweto, when I started to emerge, and I was, in certain dances, I was wearing traditional gear, animal skins and things like that, And they were just, Jesus, what a white man is doing this stuff, man. This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this, especially in this country. No white guy would ever do this kind of stuff. Jeez, And then they'd say, gee, he really does it. Look how he does it so well. He's a white Zulu, man. So that's how it started, And people would shout, Zulu Mhlophe, when they saw me. And it was made famous by a French national magazine, Actuel. They came out and did an interview with me, and I was on the cover, and it said Le Zulu Blanc, and then that hopped over to England, and then it sort of bubbled, caught fire, whatever.
Going up north to a place called Kiani, and Kiani is very lush and tropical, very hot. It's also an area which is dominated by the Amashangane people. So when you say Gia Mashangane, I'm going to the place of the Shangans, we know you're going to Kiani. This song is about that journey.
Takes all my courage to look down that long road. I'm going to Kiani with such a heavy load. I got to shoot up, clean up, Ongilisi Bindi, don't give up, shoot up, clean up, Uba Pambini, don't give up, shoot up. 공연의 세벤티 시작 그냥 요요요요 I'm going to Kiani, yeah. So easy someday, someday. I leave all of my troubles behind me, yeah. So easy someday, someday. Oh, you know I will be going to Kiani. So easy someday, someday. Gonna leave all of my troubles behind me. So easy someday, someday. Did you hear about the mouse? You went to the cat fuller. Cat said, mouse, can't be what you're dreaming of. You so lonely, you got it mixed up. You looking down below for what lies up above. You gotta 시작 끝나 공연의 세벤디 시작 끝나 고마방배네 시작 끝나 공연의 세벤디 시작 끝나 I'm going to Kiani, yeah. So easy someday, someday. Oh, you know I touch that magic mystery, yeah. So easy someday, someday. Oh, you know I'm going to Kiani, yeah. So easy someday, someday. I leave all of my troubles behind me. So easy someday, someday. Hey, we said someday, I ain't gonna ever shut up. Hey, we said someday, someday. So easy someday, I ain't gonna ever shut up. So easy someday, someday. Say easy someday, someday.